Hey guys, Hella here. Excited utterance and ooh, Mavka. Hello. Yeah, I guess I'm late. I'm pretty late. I don't know if anyone's around at this time, but yeah, I felt like streaming because I'm pretty pinged off. To be honest with ya, pretty annoyed, and like, why not? I just finished getting an assignment in that took like hours and hours. And I thought I was pretty respectful to that the journalist who yesterday put a video out where he supposedly interviewed a juror in the Delphi trial. And I said, I put an email out there. Hang on, let me read my email. Shall I? Not that my feelings are hurt or anything. It just annoys me when people are just like, oh, well, fuck you, I'll block you, without even having a respectful conversation. You start a respectful conversation and they're just like, see ya. All right, so here's what I wrote. Okay, another juror has spoken to a journalist in the Delphi case. There are questions surrounding the authenticity of the juror and the credibility of the journalist. It would be foolish to take anything on the internet at face value, but if we are to take this person for their word, this is a juror who hasn't spoken before and is communicating via email in answer to a list of questions. Regarding the journalist, personally, I see no benefit in discrediting him. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. Just as I wish the jurors had given Rick Allen the benefit of the doubt. Note, I'm giving this dude the benefit of the doubt. People are having a go at this guy because he's saying, I am an award-winning journalist. I'm this, I'm that. And people are bringing up the fact that he just writes articles for high school newspapers or something. I don't know. I don't know what his background is, right? But I'm like, okay, fine. I'm just going to ignore all that. Ignore, because I couldn't really care less about the messenger. I care about what this supposed juror has said. So back to my tweet. And that brings me to the biggest issue with this juror's words and the one before her. Both clearly saw Rick Allen as guilty and were waiting for him to be proven innocent. This is so disturbingly wrong. I really couldn't care less about the messenger relaying the information. I'm stuck on the fact this is happening again and again in courtrooms everywhere. If these jurors are speaking of their true decision-making process, the system has failed. Something has to change. Something has to change. Innocent until proven guilty is not a cliche, it's the foundation of the criminal justice system. Hashtag Richard Allen. Right? So, I didn't have a go at this journalist. People are having a go at the journalist, and right now I feel like having a go at the journalist. But I just feel like you try and give people, the benefit of the doubt. Okay, he says he's an award-winning journalist. He said he went to a lot of work to try and do his research and make sure that it is a bona fide juror. He put in a lot of effort researching the background and of the case, and he's trying to like cross all his T's and dot his I's. Okay, cool. So I won't have a go at him. And so then he's come along and he's gone, where's his response? He says, the juror literally stated in my published Q&A, as clear as day, that she looked for every reason possible to dispel the state's version of events to give Allen a fair trial. But let's just totally ignore that fact and part of the interview. Well, that wasn't how you put it at all, Tim. And then next thing I know, he's blocked me. So I can't respond. I can't respond. Right? And also, like, he's speaking for her. There's like some parts of his video where he's supposedly reading out her words, but then he's just like giving us her what he's speaking on behalf of her. Oh, and these are the conversations we've had, and she said this. Okay, so those are different words to what he said in his video, and up to you if you want to go watch the video. I'm sure go watch the video, right? So that to me doesn't sound much like award-winning journalism. However, I only spent a couple of years in journalism, doing journalism at university. Journalism's not my trade. I'm a graphic designer. I don't care about that. I care about the juror. Right. I'll say hi to everybody for a minute. Hey, Rachel. And Jamie. And Patty B. Hi. Oh, Bunny Murphy, welcome to the Helliverse. Hey, the Royal Wee. And Jennifer, hi, and Lara. You don't know about any of this? Oh, you're about to find out. Bean, how's it going, mate? Moon Turtle. Claude. Hi. Grey Space, how are you, mate? You're about to go to bed? Oh, well. Hopefully I won't put you to sleep. Chinny's here. Hey, mate. Tatiana. Yes. I was going to behave myself today, Tatiana, but no. Yeah, no. John with the murderous mushroom. He won a sports award 30 years ago, did he? He said at the beginning of his video that he's won just about every award for journalism that there is. But hey, it's irrelevant to me. I care about what the jurors have got to say, really. We're having a go at him because he's a snowflake. Okay. Have fun. Have fun. I had, really a fairly mild go, right? Really. Hey, Kat, did we find out he was full of shit? I don't know. I don't know. I'm not really following the whole thing about Tim. Like I said in my tweet, I'm just going to take it for what it is and go, okay, that's a juror. Righto. So let's assume it's a juror. Let's look at what the juror has said, because pretty much sounds like a juror to me. Sounds like the kind of thing a juror would say. And if it is something that a juror has said, then yeah, we got things to worry about. Yep, not a journalist, not an interview, not trial notes. Yeah, the thing about the trial notes is a bit curious because they're not supposed to keep the trial notes. Yeah. He blocked you too. I block people who are just like incessantly tweeting stupid shit at me. Because it's easy to on X, but I didn't even do anything to him. I didn't even address him. I didn't even get it. I didn't even reply to him. Oh dear. Hello, music. Nice. I love hearing music. Don't insult others. Yeah. Insult others. Try not to. Try not to insult others. Have respectful conversations generally. generally, till they start being dickheads. Um, you're dealing with a well-adjusted person, who when critiquing leads to being blocked on X. My name is Tim. I've won all the awards. Yes. Dear. Okay. So, hey, Melissa, how are you? Okay. So, what's this? He claims she had a photographic memory and wrote the notes later at the hotel. She apparently memorized all the exhibit numbers because that's important. That's hard to believe. That's really hard to believe. Yes, I don't get that bit very much. Oh, hello, Prof. I thought you were streaming. Hi, how are you? Look on, how's it going, mailboxes, man? Things stupid jurors say Richard Allen didn't show remorse. Guilty. Hard to show remorse when you didn't do something, isn't it? That's kind of tough. Yeah. All right, so let's have a bit of a look at what was said, shall we? Because really, that's all I care about. I'm not, and again, I'm just going to give it the benefit of the doubt and go, this woman, assuming she's a juror, this was what was said. This was what was said. And guys, I've been struck for having transcripts up before. It doesn't help you just to have a transcript and go, oh, it was just a transcript. So I probably won't bring the transcript up even though I've got it. Silly, silly things that can happen. Let me see. Richard Allen said the girls died in order for him to find God. Did he? All right, well, I don't remember that, but maybe it just didn't come out in the trial notes, or I missed it, or it wasn't in any of the phone calls, so maybe that's new. Does anyone remember that? Richard Allen admitted he was an alcoholic, and she noted he exhibited a bizarre smile. Not a bizarre smile. We can't have bizarre smiles now, can we? And that's one of the things the juror discusses with me when I asked her questions. She said, everybody says that these confessions were coerced because of the Haldol and because of the drugs he was receiving. But in fact, many of Alan's confessions were before these drugs were ever introduced to him at all. Really? Now, really? Really now? I think you're telling fibbies. I think that might be a fibby. Yeah, wrong. Wrong. You took a lot of notes and stuff, lady, but you got that bit wrong. Yes. Hey, Lacey. How are you? Rachel, so you think the notes are authentic? Maybe she was creating notes at the hotel each night. Well, that might explain why she's wrong about this bit. Yeah. And look, I've seen people repeat this same thing out in the general, just mainstream community. Oh, he confessed before the Haldol, and he confessed when he wasn't psychotic. He had a psychotic break later, but he was already confessing before all that, right? Look, even if that were true, there are people who confess after just a couple of days being hounded by cops, right? There are people who confess after being subjected to the read technique for, 8-10 hours. He held out a really long time. Like, Richard Allen really, really held it together for a fucking long time. And they put him under some seriously bad circumstances. And they had to freaking drug him, right? They had him in a cage. They had him in this teensy-weensy little room. He was starving. He had the lights on all the time. He was being beaten. He had people yelling at him. And that still wasn't freaking working, right? It took like major antipsychotics that they turn your brain to freaking mush. That's what it took for him to start singing, as they call it, right? Most people can't handle just like not getting their smoke breaks and food and stuff for a day or so. They start going, okay, sure, yeah, whatever you say. Yeah? So what crap? What crap? Okay. He didn't initially want the Hell doll, according to her notes. Did he ever want the Hell doll? What? What trial was she watching? Shouldn't laugh. This is not funny at all. Because there's a common misperception out there, or misconception about that, that he didn't initially want the Haldol, according to her notes. He was paranoid, confessed again, said, quote, "I will kill everyone when I die. I will kill everyone." Then confession. He made a confession about how he killed Abby and Libby, drank beer that day or that morning, laid in wait, saw the girls, followed them onto the bridge, said he was doing something with his gun, and he thinks that's when the bullet fell out. Yeah, and at some point he went, "Oh, now I'll have the Hell doll, please." Oh, okay. I missed a bit. This bit really, really, really pissed me off. Right? Guys. Guys. I don't know if I should say this. I don't want the video to get flagged or anything. That he did something unspeakable to his sister once. When did this come in to trial? How does this juror know this or is talking about this? And I've never heard of this before, guys. Okay, so and this is the content creator speaking now. Okay, so all the people out there who are claiming that Richard Allen is some innocent, average, everyday guy who's never done anything wrong, apparently during the trial at some point it was testified that Richard Allen basically fondled his sister at some point and that he had a, quote, sex addiction. Richard Allen is taking God into his heart. Now, this is the juror, some of the jurors' notes, just to show you what's been documented, blah, blah, blah. What? What? Lies. We would have heard about that. There is no way that that was mentioned at trial, and we would not have heard about that. There is no way. Right? How many people were there at trial reporting back every freaking word that was said? We had Andrea, we had Bob and Ali, Modder, we had Lawyer Lee. God, we even had Hidden True Crime. Hidden True Crime would have talked about that, wouldn't they? That would have been all over that. That news would have just blown up, wouldn't it? If that came out at trial, which I can't see how that could ever be allowed in, right? But if that came out at trial, it would have been blasted everywhere. It's a lie. That's just a fucking flat out lie. Anybody that claims to have a photographic memory is a liar, because a photographic memory, well, it's not a real thing, no. Well, actually, there are some really rare people who have like a savant thing going on where they can remember certain facts, but I doubt this person's one of them. Yeah. It's holdover propaganda. Just wait until tomorrow or next week. Before you know it, it's next year and you have not planned accordingly. I just it's not possible for jurors to be so stupid they were bought or threatened, period. No, it's possible for jurors to be this stupid. I've seen jurors this stupid. Absolutely. Right. No, it's well and truly possible. Absolutely. This has to be made up. Oh yeah, this bit's made up. It was part of his false confession. The defense called the sister to testify. It was, oh, wait, was it? Did he say that? Is that what the sister was there for? Are you sure? Because why did we not hear about this? And yes, half Irish. Good to see you, mate. Yeah, Zachariah Anderson jury was this stupid plus 1,000. Hey, Pink Slime. Those are the kind of people who can tell you the weather in January 23, 2012. Yeah, those kind of people. Yeah, because they have a clear memory of that day. Yeah, they're very rare. Very rare. Hey, Carrie. Well, I mean, it's clearly false. It's clear. So this woman believes that to be true. Fantastic. Fantastic. Okay, moving on. Right, so he asked this woman a bunch of questions, and I don't know if he's crowdsourced these questions from his subscribers earlier, but apparently there's more coming, guys. So great, awesome. Okay, so question number 1: did any of the jurors wish or discuss whether they thought it would have been useful had Richard Allen taken the stand himself in his own defense? Oh God, I'm gonna just throw something. Are you ready? Are you ready to thank goodness? Oh, is everything tied down? Breathe. She said, I cannot speak for the other jurors. Whilst the Fifth Amendment protects against self-incrimination, I believe if someone is truly innocent, then why not take the stand? Later, I found out that Richard Allen's well-being hindered his ability to assist in his own defense. I also learned from sources that these actions were attempts to manipulate his situation. Because he's a narcissist. She didn't say that. I added that last bit in. What the fuck? What the fuck? What the actual fuck is that answer? Does the Fifth Amendment not mean fucking anything to you? Right? So, okay. The Fifth Amendment is not just about protecting you against self-incrimination. You have a right to remain silent. You are not supposed to be judged on that. You just said you judged him on that. And also, what's with this source? Who is this source? Tell us about this source. I want to know. What source? An attempt to manipulate his situation. What are you talking about? What source? I also learned from sources that these actions were attempts to manipulate his situation. What's she talking about? The feigning trial junkie. Okay, so you don't have to feign to get out of testifying. You have a right not to testify. So regardless, if you think he's feigning, you think he's feigning, but it makes no fucking difference because you don't have to testify and the jury is not allowed to judge you for that. What the actual hell? And who's getting in their ear and saying that he is manipulating the situation? Who? Do we have a Becky Hill going on here? Has Becky moved to Indiana? What is going on? This is a real problem. Same juror? I have a source close to the investigation. Are you kidding, Kat? Or what's going on, man? Yeah, she punished. Yeah, 2 ears, 1 mouth. She punished him for not testifying. Yep. 100%. 100%. Right. And let's not kid ourselves. Jurors do this. She's just admitting it. Right. So jurors love to hear from the defendant. It usually doesn't work out for them anyway. But if they don't hear from the defendant, that makes them think, oh, well, they've got something to hide. And exactly what she said, if you're really innocent, why wouldn't you? If you've got nothing to hide, well, why wouldn't you? Right? The dude we don't even know how badly he's affected. We don't even know if he can speak coherently anymore. If he says one thing wrong, right? If he says that he went out to the first platform to look down at the fish at a certain time, and then they say, oh, but you said that you went out there at 12:15, but actually then you said you went out there at 12:20, and it looks like he messed up, and then they play back some video and he said something else. He's a liar, right? Freaking 8 years ago. And he's had his brain turned to mush since then. Yeah? But, it's so easy to just sit there and go, oh, but if you were innocent, then why wouldn't you testify? Hey, Michael. Certainly something for the post-conviction investigation to look into. Well, is it? You mean the sources thing? Or this bit? All right, let's get on to question number 2. I'm only on to question number 2. And then I said, oh, hang on. What were the jury's impressions of Richard Allen throughout the trial? I'm sure they thought he was lovely. Ready? I cannot speak for the other jurors. My impression of Richard Allen throughout the trial, he fidgeted a lot, rolled his eyes, laughed at times. I noticed his attorney, A.B., and, we all know who that is from studying this case, coddled him, placed his arm around Richard Allen often. Geez, what an asshole. What an asshole, A.B. How dare ya? These disgusting defense attorneys, they're inhuman. Inhuman, I say. Jesus Christ. I've seen it so many times, right? I've seen like people sort of talk about defense attorneys like they're kind of as bad as the criminal, and the person's a criminal already. Like, clearly she's thinking about Richard Allen as he's sitting there in the defense spot. He's already a criminal, right? And why is he coddling him? And she's referring to him as A.B. You know who A.B. is. And he laughed at times. And he rolled his eyes. And he fidgeted. We don't know what the rolling of the eyes thing was. We can't assume that he's rolling his eyes because, like that. We don't know. Have you ever been in solitary confinement for 13 months and been medicated against your will, starved and beaten? Have you, lady? Do you know what kind of afflictions you may have that showed physically in your demeanor after that? Did you think about that? No? And maybe AB has gotten to know him quite well. And maybe AB is actually assuming his innocence, like you should have been. Maybe AB and Richard Allen enjoyed a brief moment of levity for a second here and there because he wasn't in that rat's cage that he was in for just a moment. Some empathy for other human beings would be really nice. But no, you had made your mind up. Very clear, you had made your mind up. Yeah, maybe, yeah, Mandy, maybe his attorneys were treating him like a person. How dare they? Yeah, they know it's a highly suspect. I know. I know. But I'm trying to give them some credence. They may be real. What's suspect about them, I guess, is mostly the actual physical pictures of the notes that are detailed, and they were supposed to throw trial notes out. But as far as the observations this person makes, they sound like a just everyday juror. When are we going to roll out a fake juror interview? I was thinking about that. That would be kind of funny. Like we roll one out and it'd be like, oh my God, I can't believe we convicted him. Oh, hello, Samantha Lee. Hello. Why bash the juror stating their experience? Last I knew, we weren't present for the trial or sat in her chair. Hey, okay, good question. Excellent question. Good to have you here. Okay, so here's the reason. Because these jurors, not just her, the other one, and all the others as far as I know, unless one of them wants to come out and tell me otherwise, did not take their oath seriously. Their oath was to convict only beyond a reasonable doubt. So, to be able to convict somebody beyond a reasonable doubt, they have to eliminate all other possibilities, and that means making sure that everything that is put forward at that trial aligns, right? So let me just put it this way. I know that a lot of people think that some things should have been allowed into trial that weren't. I'm going to forget all that for a minute, right? Because I'm not going to blame them for not being able to make their decision based on things that weren't put in at trial. However, what was put in at trial, what they did see was the crime scene. They saw that crime scene, right? So they saw that crime scene, and that crime scene was very unusual. It was quite meticulous. So we had two little girls, and one of them, unfortunately, was stripped down naked, and the other one was bled out. I don't want to talk in great detail about this. And dressed in the other one's clothes. There was a very meticulous crime scene. Now, Richard Allen's so-called confession was that he was spooked by a van and decided not to essay them because he was in such a hurry. He just murdered them quickly and ran away. How does that align with the crime scene? The jurors could see all of that, yet they did not see reasonable doubt. How is there no reasonable doubt between those two things? Those two things make no sense, right? So we have a crime scene that is so far different to what Richard Allen himself recounts. He can recount nothing of how that crime scene ended up, nothing. He makes no argument to convince anybody that he knows about that crime scene. And those jurors saw it. They saw in great detail how that crime scene ended up. And yet they chose to ignore that. That's not okay. Right? So I will bash these jurors, right? I will tell you that they did not do their job. We should expect more from jurors, right? Because you know what's happened? They believed the state right from the beginning. I fully believe that. They believed that he was guilty, and they just wanted it confirmed to them. And then they wanted the defense to prove he was innocent, which is not their job at all. Right? So you can have a go at me as much as you want, but that's what I believe. And I have seen it happen in other cases, and this one was flat out 100%. That's exactly how it went. It's exactly how it went. And these two jurors have come out and confirmed it. Everything that they've said confirms exactly the thought process that I assumed that they would have gone through. They've gone and said it. I hope I've answered your question. The judge did make it impossible for him to have a defense, but I don't even think that that's the issue. I think that he didn't need to even put on a defense. His words, the confessions, did not align with the facts of the case that were evident in the exhibits. They just didn't align. Simple. Now it's going to be don't bash the jurors. Oh, it's always don't bash the jurors. I'm tired of that. So I know that there's this sanctity of the jury system, and you're supposed to sort of put the jurors up on this pedestal and go, oh, well, they gave it their time, and we're supposed to just respect them and be all like, well, thank you for doing your civic duty. No, I'm tired of it. We should expect more. If they cannot uphold their oath, if they cannot be unbiased, if they cannot understand the burden of proof and come to their decision beyond a reasonable doubt, not by a civil standard, not by the preponderance of evidence, right? Not by clear and convincing standard, beyond a reasonable doubt. That's up here. It's the highest standard in the land. I'll show you something. I'll show you something. I had some lawyers on my channel 2 weeks ago. I'm just going to show you like a 1-minute clip. And my friend Andrew Bronca was here, and he said something that really resonated with me. Hang on a sec. Here he is in the bottom left.
And the prosecution's going to win. They're just going to buy into the story, right?
And juries, I mean, unfortunately, a huge weakness here is this very concept of beyond a reasonable doubt. We don't really explain it to juries in a useful way. It's not a manner in which people make normal decisions in their life. You make a decision, it's like, well, would I rather go to this restaurant or that restaurant? It's a preponderance of the evidence standard that is normal to us. And if you don't drive home to the jury exactly how high the burden is, beyond a reasonable doubt, they'll just apply a preponderance standard. Most people get convicted on a preponderance standard. And unfortunately, it's not that easy to do because it's the law. The judge often doesn't like you talking about the law in front of the jury. The place I've seen it done most effectively is actually during voir dire, during jury selection, where it seems the judges give the lawyers a little more freedom to operate because the jury's not selected yet, right? You don't know if these people are going to be jurors. And I've seen them get a lot more grace to talk about the concept of bringing in like a poster board. It's like, it's not this high, it's not this high. It's all the way up here. It's all the way at the top. The judge will instruct you to apply that standard. Will you commit to my client that you'll do that? And you get the jury to emotionally commit to that very high standard going in. That's very effective, but very few defense lawyers do that. And often when they try to do it in an opening, the state objects and it gets sustained.
Argument.
And then the jury doesn't actually hear much about beyond a reasonable doubt until closing argument. And by closing argument, it's over. They've already decided.
They've decided.
Yep. What he said. Right? And I know that I think it was Rosie brought in that steps graphic at voir dire, right? And the first juror who came out and spoke said, oh, he tried to dumb it down by bringing in the chart that talks about reasonable doubt. She got all grumpy about that. Remember? But Andrew Bronca, what he said is absolutely correct. People don't make decisions this way in everyday life. People balance out the pros and cons of their decision making. And doesn't that sound like something that you've heard in the last day or so if you've watched this video from this streamer? And I'm going to read out her answer to that in a minute. because she made a list of the pros and cons, yes, of Richard Allen's case. That is a balance of probabilities, isn't it? Right? That's not beyond a reasonable doubt. She's like, pros for him being guilty, against him being guilty. It's kind of like, ooh, well, should I buy that boat? Let me just go to chat. The defense was not able to put on a defense. Gull stopped all of it. The jurors that have come out basically to say, poor me, I had to go through this and see that, but don't think of what RA could have been through in solitary for a year. Oh, there's a bit of that. Like, there's a bit of sort of like, oh, it was sore butts on chairs and had to get up very early and I got sequestered. Oh, imagine being taken away from your family for a few weeks. Yes, poor you. Yes, poor you. All right, so let's keep going. Question 3. Were there any defense or prosecution witnesses that you found particularly compelling that had you leaning towards guilt or innocence? Answer, Cecil. He was to the point. He looked at the jury when he spoke, and you could tell he was serious about his work. Oh, good old Cecil. And Melissa Oberg. Really? Forensic firearms examiner. She was on the stand the entire day. We watched videos of how to look for specific markings that a firearm could cause, as the inside toolings are not the same. Well, now you're all qualified to be tool mark experts. Congratulations. Did you get a certificate on the way out? I'm like, legit. They've just learned how to be tool mark experts. All the jurors. All the jurors. That's it. Like, they could go testify. A day of training. Yay. And okay, so Michael, you're probably referring to what the content creator or journalist was saying after this, because he said, and what I find interesting about this in my exchange with the juror is this juror was telling me that a lot of the experts that the defense team had come forward regarding the firearms and other evidence, I guess the defense didn't even have somebody physically look at this. They looked at photographs, but they never examined the actual evidence, just the photographs. So the defense team never bothered to have hands-on examinations of these things. Only, quote, experts giving their opinions based on the photographs they were given, whereas the prosecution experts actually handled these items, viewed these items under microscopes, things like that firsthand. So I found that interesting just from my own perspective. I'm sure you did. And Michael says, there was no point for the defense's toolmark guy to do the examination himself because you can't compare an unfired round with a fired round. Yeah, see, the whole test was flawed to start off with. Expertise in pseudoscience is pretty easy to pick up. Yeah. So, like, I could pretend to be an expert in tool marking, whatever it is, because they're all just pretending anyway. It's bullshit. If only they had a bite mark expert. Oberg literally told the jury not to look at the pictures because they don't understand. Get the fuck out. Even the other juror was smarter than this. Remember? Chewing gum juror? Elle from Clueless? Even she was like, oh, look, I didn't really put much into the firearms expert. Yeah, I'm not sure about that one. Remember? Okay. Did hearing Richard Allen's voice help your decision? Did Richard Allen, hearing his voice at trial, help your decision? You guys know what this one's going to be, right? Hang on. When I watched the first interview video, the hairs stood up on my arms. Are they standing up? Come on. Nah, not doing it. Yeah, the hair stood up on her arms, apparently. Or her back. Sorry. Honestly, I don't even think that they were meant to compare the voices. Okay. Based on utter nonsense, right? This is the stupidest shit, isn't it? Right? And it was interesting, like when the interviews or interrogations came out, I remember all the chats were like, that sounds nothing like him. Oh, it sounds exactly like him. What are you talking about? It sounds nothing like him. It sounds exactly like him. It sounds nothing like him. Oh, it sounds a bit like him. No, it sounds nothing like him. It's like, if you want it to sound like him, it will sound like him. Pretty easy. Bridge Guy is like this perfect nothing generic character. Like he fits 60% of Indiana dudes like over 40. He has like the right kind of voice that could be just about anybody. He wears the same clothes. He's kind of middle in size, a bit pudgy. He's so blurred out. They all wear like this jacket and jeans and boots and that. Like he could be fucking just about anybody. Question 5. Was there any specific parts or parts of the interrogation video where you thought Richard Allen was caught lying? The juror answers, caught lying? He said he didn't go out on the bridge. Officer, you said you were out on the bridge. And then the streamer, he sort of starts to sort of go into his own voice, and he's like, and again, these are from her notes. Richard Allen, no, I didn't. Officer, you said you walked out onto the first platform. You said you were on the bridge. Richard Allen, of course, I was. I told you that. I told you I was on the bridge. And there were several times during the case where Allen clearly gives contradictory information about this while being interviewed, and she's right. And there was one time when he says during his interrogation that he didn't go out on the bridge, and he didn't tell his wife, Kathy, that he went out on the bridge. And then she later finds out after he's interviewed that, oh, yeah, he admits he did go out to the first platform. And so that shows deception, even though it's a small deception or a small detail. Well, if he says originally I didn't go out on the bridge when he's being interrogated, and then he says, well, yeah, I was on the first platform later, that's contradictory information. And clearly that was a factor to this juror. At that point, it was 5 years ago. Meanwhile, they had Kathy in a separate room, and they were doing the same techniques on her. I don't know, like, if like there's different kinds of people in this world, and I think like prosecution try à voir dire to get the second kind of people, but I'm in this group of people who just can't help but think like I'm in the other person's shoes. So I'm always like trying to think like, what would I do if I were in Kathy's shoes? What would I do if I was in Rick's shoes? What would I do if I was Abby walking down the bridge? What would I do if I was Libby with the camera? And try really hard to put myself there, right? Whereas I think prosecution, they try to get people who are looking outwards at the situation from their own perspective, you know? And I feel like this person is perfect. Like she's perfectly looking outwards at the situation, going, well, you know, he's lying. And as a juror, I expect someone to tell the truth all the time, because when someone lies once, they're going to keep lying. People should not perhaps be mocked for their stupidity unless they are trying to present themselves as reasonable. Well, they kind of are, though, Michael. But you weren't a juror. Here's the thing, music. Jurors are, they're given an opportunity. They're asked, can you be unbiased? Can you uphold your oath? They're asked all these questions, right? And they have to answer them really truthfully. They have to really look inside themselves and answer that truthfully. And I feel like they're being very dishonest to answer those questions and then go in and not do that, right? To sit in on a jury and be this disingenuous. So that's my biggest problem with this, right? If you feel like you've just been shoved on a jury and you've been given no choice and you didn't answer those questions and you really didn't understand, I'd have a lot more sympathy for this situation. But they don't. They get asked these questions and they have to take an oath. It's a very important oath. And if you're not willing to take that oath and take it seriously, then I don't have much sympathy for you. Sounds like that Rick and Kathy were a bit like these jurors initially, eager to help the police find the killer and get a conviction. Horrible when you later find out the state is the most evil. And this is the problem, right? People need to stop trusting the state. It's sad but true. Because they weren't there. The cops weren't there. The prosecutor wasn't there. They're just telling you what they think happened. And they've got a bunch of experts lined up to corroborate what they think happened. But they don't know. And so you've been brought up to believe that all these people are here to help and to make everything right. And the person that they brought before you is the right person. But they don't know. Right? And they're on the back foot. That person they brought before you is on the back foot because they don't have a bunch of experts that they can just call on who are on staff, basically. They have to summon those people basically out of their own pocket or from a very small budget. And also, the jury already believes that you're guilty because everyone's brought up to believe that the state brings in the guilty person. But they don't know. They weren't there. In fact, you might not even know what happened because you might not have even had anything to do with it at all, like Rick, right? It's terrifying. It's really fucking terrifying, guys. Okay, let's move on. Question for me from the juror. Could Richard Allen be feigning his symptoms to not be put into general population as he was being threatened by other inmates? Oh my God. How would this juror know this? This is the most ridiculous question. Why are you asking her this? What? Could he be feigning his symptoms to not be put into general population? He had no choice. What? What? He was just put there. Dude. Okay. Okay, so sometimes people sort of like tease me a little bit because I haven't been following this as long as some other people, right? But I know enough about this to know that he just got put straight in there, right? He didn't like, he wasn't like put in Gen Pop and then he was like, "Ooh, you know, I'm so psychotic," and then they came along and went, "Oh, well, we'll put you in isolation." What? There was a safekeeping hearing. Well, not really a hearing. Like, who are you? Why are you asking this question? And why are you asking it of a juror? They safe kept him immediately. Safekeeping. Immediately. This is so stupid. Okay, the answer was, I suppose we'll just we'll go to the answer. Dr. D. Dwyer answers yes. Okay, so the juror has put the doctor's answer down. Is it possible he was feigning his mental health? Richard Allen was examined for delirium and he did not have it. So this juror clearly thinks it matters that the defense's own witness thinks that he didn't have delirium, as the defense team was kind of alleging, and that a lot of this may have been a ruse in order to be, you know, avoiding being put in general population, etc., etc. What the fuck? What? I am so confused. Why is he making shit up? Is it him making shit up or the juror or both of them? This is crap. And then, like, he goes on to say, but I find it interesting when the juror is asked this question that she doesn't really answer with any information that thought could have been exculpatory towards him. And I know there's probably going to be a lot of people that say, well, there was a lot of things that the judge didn't allow, like the odonism defense, etc., etc. But again, I find it interesting that the defense team even came out with an odonism theory at all, even though it wasn't allowed because there was never any real credible evidence. Well, okay, no, I'm not going to go down that path. Okay, question 7. I don't remember the word delirium. No, gray space. And it wasn't their theory. Nope. In fact, Hang on a minute. Yeah, it wasn't their theory at all.
Everything in the Franks memo is an investigation that we did.
What happened to my camera? Can you see me? Can you see me? You can't see me. Oh no! Hang on, I just fixed it. Oh, I know why. Nah, fixed. That was weird. It must have been the trolls. Come and got me. All right, so number 7. Now that you've researched the case way more after the trial, did you think any claims of Alan's supporters have any merit to them? Or are most of those things nonsense in your opinion? Well, that's putting words in her mouth. Not? Well, I suppose yes. See ya, Michael. Good night. Have a good sleep. Now I'm back. Yes, I know I'm back. Okay. So she says, ready? Richard Allen supporters. Richard Allen described himself as bridge guy. From what he was wearing, basically, is what he's saying. Witnesses saw bridge guy, but not Richard Allen, because Richard Allen had his identity hidden because behind his overdressed coat, hat, and tucking himself. What the fuck does that mean? Is this RuPaul's Drag Race? Tucking himself? What does she mean? Wait. Okay, hang on. Let's just go back. Richard Allen had his identity hidden behind his overdressed coat, hat, and tucking himself. What? Okay, sorry, but Bridge Guy didn't look like a drag queen. What's she talking about? What video was she watching? Oh, he stretched himself. What? What are you talking about? What? It wasn't that warm out. Like, it wasn't an unseasonably warm day, but should be tucking himself. I'm so freaking weirded out by that. Stretched himself. The video was stretched. I showed that. He didn't do that. Not one witness saw 2 persons dressed exactly the same. Did anyone ask any witnesses if they saw 2 people dressed the same? I don't think so. Supporters focus on the fact that there was no DNA. Well, that's a pretty big one. Therefore, Richard Allen is innocent. All I have to say is they should have been in the courtroom because everything they've heard and seen is not the whole picture. There is more that they haven't heard and haven't seen. Enlighten us. Ma'am, I would love to know what secret evidence you have. Please? So what is it? What is it? Did you see Richard Allen taking a selfie at the crime scene? I'd like to know about that. That would be good. Come on now. Did you see some like footprints of BG? You know, like big Yeti footprints that match up to his shoes? That'd be good. Fingerprints, paw prints. Because, like, really, there's nothing. Like, we've kind of been through all this. And I know a lot of stuff's been, like, hidden. There's been a gag order and kind of struggling to get exhibits and that. But there's a ton of people out here who've been poring over this for a really, really long time. And we did have people in the courtroom too. And don't know what you think you've seen that is so damning. Love to know. Would love to know. Thanks. No crime scene selfies, just tucking. Yeah. Well, it's the first time I've heard about tucking, so I've got to give it that. Bridgefoot. Yeah. Hey, Nore, I think just dumb. I'm gonna say dumb. I mean, they just don't get how they're supposed to make these decisions. And they're easily led. Like, gullible's probably more the word. Yeah, gullible. They're sitting there going, oh, yes, that sounds very plausible what you're saying. Oh, yes, I can see how that little mark in the metal kind of aligns with that very small little mark in the metal that's not really visible, and that means that it's a match because you said it is. And I can see that he dressed up as BG that day because people going to the bridges dressed up as bridge guy because they know what bridge guy looks like. And he dressed as him. So that makes him bridge guy. And bridge guy's the killer because he said bridge guy's the killer. And also, when I heard his voice on the interview, it sounded just like him and the hair stood up on my arms. And those two experts, they were really confident. They knew their job. They sounded very good. And the defendant, he's got weird eyes. He keeps rolling them and fidgeting. So, yeah, I'm convinced. Question 8. For the families of, do you have any message for the victims' families? For the families of the girls, I'm so sorry, bless you, and I very much wish I could have walked over and given you all a hug. So clearly, this is something that emotionally affected this juror. Oh, this is the person speaking now, Tim. So clearly, this is something that emotionally affected this juror, and that is the juror's message to the victims' families, that she wishes she could have walked over and given them all a hug when it was all over. Fair enough. Yeah, I feel bad for the victims' families too, and the victims, because they haven't found the killers. There's definitely more than one killer. Question 9. Do you have any message to Alan's wife or family about his conviction? Hey, CT girl. God. She said this. I am so sorry for Richard Allen's daughter. I can't imagine the adverse effects. Richard Allen's wife. You tried to keep him quiet on the phone. You knew. Grr. Look, that pisses me off. That really, really fucking pisses me off. What do you think she knew? Right? I'll tell you what she knew. And she knew all along, because can you imagine Kathy Allen living in Indiana, living in that part of the world for all that time with that picture of rich guy in the newspapers, on the news for 5 years, right? Seeing it up all that time. If he were the killer, if he were bridge guy, do you think she would have not known? Right? She would have known that's her husband. She would have known, right? She wouldn't have been in shock that day. She would have known, right? She knew it wasn't him. She knew full fucking well it was not him, right? No wonder she was absolutely flabbergasted that day, right? And then they tried to freaking make her question herself. They were telling her, oh, they found a bullet there and all this other crap that was like completely made up to make her think, hey, what, how could this be? But that's not him. And he told me he was there, and then they're trying to tell her, oh no, but he didn't say that. Didn't you say he didn't say that? She's questioning herself in her head, because that's what cops do. They fucking lie, right? She knew that it wasn't him. If she'd known, she would have known all along. Do you think she would have stayed with a child killer for 5 years? Right. So Kathy knew it wasn't him. Do you think that she's going to allow him to incriminate himself over the phone? She can also tell that something's going on in that prison. She's being told also by the defense attorneys. There are people yelling at him. There are people torturing him. He's being medicated. When you hear him and his voice has changed, just be aware it's not the same Rick. And she's probably very well aware it's not the same Rick. No wonder she's saying, don't say these things to me. How dare you judge her? How dare you? This is what I mean about not being able to put yourself in someone else's position. So you, ma'am, you are saying that she should have gone, oh, sure, honey, just tell me everything. Oh, you murdered those girls? Oh, great, tell me all the information. That's what you wanted him to do, right? Appalling. Appalling. I can't with that. To shame her like that after everything she's been through. So here's the thing, right? This Tim guy, he reckons that he's going to have more of this. So that was only like a 40-minute video that he did, right? And he's supposedly talking to her over email, and he says that he's not doing this to make any money, and he's like happy for people to share all of the content, but I don't think he was quite prepared for there to be really any backlash, because he's gone and had a little meltdown today and blocked a bunch of people, and all that kind of thing. So, yeah. But I've got to give it to him. He knows how to milk it, because he's going to probably get a few streams out of it, a few videos that are going to get a few views. So I expect he'll probably do it over a period of maybe 4 or 5 videos. Maybe he'll do a live, I don't know. And his channel will probably do fairly well out of it. And he reckons that's not what it's all about, blah, blah, blah. But sure, okay. And look, I don't care if he's done work, whatever. I don't really have a big problem with this Tim person. People have their opinions. Everyone's biased. Everybody's biased, guys. We can't expect everyone to agree with our point of view. I'm not going to sit here and attack his background, his credentials, anything like that. Everyone has a right to their own freedom of speech. He believes that Rick Allen is guilty. Okay. I have a problem with this juror. I have a problem with this juror. I have a problem with the way that they carried out their civic duty, and the juror previously as well. So I also have freedom of speech, even in my country. And we have the same problem here, by the way. It's not just the US. We have a situation where we have juries who convict on more of a civic standard, so more a balance of probabilities. We have mass media who only report the prosecution side of things. People don't understand the burden of proof that's on the state, or on the Crown in our country here. So it's not a US thing only, but yeah, there are a lot of people who just get a guilty verdict from the jury without proper consideration, and also they expect the defense to prove that that person has been found innocent. Found innocent. That's right. So hang on, there's one bit I missed. She said, I sat in my hotel room almost every night with my notebook, writing the pros and cons. I looked at this man, Richard Allen, and tried to find everything I could to find his innocence. The days we sat in the courtroom listening to witnesses, watching videos, and watching Richard Allen, if you weren't there, you just have no idea. The guilty side of my notebook outweighed the not guilty side. There was too much, too many things that didn't add up. You sit on those hard chairs day after day, looking at crime scene photos of 2 little girls. How could you look at those crime scene photos and think that he got spooked by a man and quickly murdered them and ran away? How, lady? How did you get to that? How? This is my problem. How? How did you look at them? How did you look at those crime scene photos and think that he got spooked by a man and ran away? Spooked by a man, quick murder, run away. One does not equal the other. Reasonable doubt. That sounds like reasonable doubt to me. That is it's just the most obvious thing. His very own words, the words of his very own confession, do not align with the crime scene. And here you are saying that you're sitting there in your hotel room and you have, what is it? The guilty side of my notebook outweighed the not guilty side. You had a not guilty side? That looks like doubt to me. You had a not guilty side? Really? So you had a not guilty side. Right. So the not guilty side, were any of those arguments reasonable? Because it's not a matter of which list is longer. Okay? That's not how beyond a reasonable doubt works. Jurors need to go back to school. The not guilty side is fucking reasonable doubt. I'm so furious at that. And now he's in prison for the rest of his goddamn life. And people are sitting around going, oh, that's what appeals are for. If he lasts that goddamn long, do you know how likely it is that an appeal is successful? And even if an appeal is successful, that just means that his conviction is vacated and he goes back through the same process again and meets another 12 people like you. Right, so anyway, sorry guys. Yeah, I'm pretty mad about that. And I wish that message would get back to her. Just that last bit. If nothing else, just that last bit. But it won't. Because they'll just block everything out. They'll block out all of us. We're all deranged, unhinged. We all need help. So never mind. Yeah. Guys, thank you for hanging out with me. Thank you for grumping it up with me. Yeah, I'll do another one of these if he comes out with more. I think he will. We're all at the mercy of the government, music. We are. And it's really, we're at a point now where we have given up all of our privacy. They know where we are all the time. They know what we're talking about. They know what we're eating for dinner. They know who we're talking to. They know what we're researching. They know what our goals are, what our feelings are. They just know everything. They can find out anything about us. And they can take pieces of all of that and they can construct it into a storyline that fits us doing anything they like. They can make us guilty of anything. It's not just our phones, it's our cars, it's our appliances, obviously apps that we use and things like that. It's where we drive, where we walk, everywhere. We cannot escape it. So it's terrifying. Who is they? The government, Curry. Yep. Sad but true. And the only way we can fight it, because we can't get rid of it, right? We can't get rid of the fact that they can see us everywhere. The only way we can fight it is by, if we as citizens, we're called up to be jurors, we protect each other and we hold the government to account. We get in there and we actually look at our fellow citizen as innocent, like we're supposed to, right? If we make the prosecution actually work for a conviction, if we have them start from nothing, from absolutely nothing, and go, hey, give me everything you've got, and we question everything they say because they don't know, right? I heard someone the other day say everybody thought that Richard Allen was guilty when he was arrested, and that made my skin crawl, because no one should think anyone is guilty just because they're arrested. Yeah? Bet you think a bit differently now. No one should think anyone's guilty just because they're arrested. People get arrested all the time. Didn't do anything. All right. I'm going to leave you guys alone. I know it's late for you. Alrighty. Have a great day, everyone. Thank you for hanging out. Much appreciated. It's time for the song. That'll cheer you up.
Her name was Ella. She was an Aussie. She was a fake lawyer from the future. She got on YouTube and made some live streams. The co-host is Dolly and she dances sometimes. The words are always so loud and because she's an 803. To be certain, excited in your romance. Her cat